production, endurance, performance. It so happens I get a lot of inquiries of people saying that their energy levels have dropped, that they want to have more energy, they're tired, exhausted. What can you do? So I'm going to be answering that question for you to give you, at the end of the video, you're going to understand what is it that actually is creating the problem of low energy and what you can do to bring back your energy levels up to a level where you have endurance and performance, meaning you don't get tired and you can continuously have energy throughout the day. There is a way of doing it, and there's a reason why it happens, so bear with me and understand it, and then I will explain in detail how it happens so that you can actually now regain control of your health, and that will help you regain your levels of energy as you were. So basically, I know you would like to get your energy levels, the same energy levels you had when you were 20, 30 years old, and it's probably been declining ever since, and you don't know exactly what to do. There are certain factors that come into play, but I'm going to go to the source of it, and then you'll understand how to fix it. So basically, your body has got cells. So I've made some diagrams here. This is a cell here, second cell, and in the cell you'll have a blood vessel carrying blood. Blood has got iron, it carries oxygen, it carries glucose or fat or ketones. Fat, glucose or ketones are three different sources of energy. The most common source of energy is glucose. So when that arrives in the cell, it has to be transported into the cell, into this red thing here, I call it the mitochondria. It's an energy factory. That's where your energy is produced. Basically, your fat, your glucose or your ketones arrive inside the factory. It needs certain vitamins and minerals that have to be present for them to convert into a form called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, ATP. This is the form of energy that your body needs to function. Basically, what ATP does, it does muscle movement, it does your breathing, your respiration, it helps with your digestion, your mental sharpness, your immune function. So this is the form of energy that the body uses. So the trick is how do you take the fat, or how do you take the glucose, how do you take the ketones, and how do you have them transported with the blood? How do they arrive at the cell? How do they get into the cell? They get transported to the energy factory, and then the conversion happens. The main thing is ATP. The more ATP you have, the more energy you have. So the problem of your energy production that's dropping is because your levels of ATP has dropped. It's dropping too low, and now the only ATP that's left is actually used for mental sharpness, or used for your brain, or some digestion or respiration. So muscle movement is stopped, so you get tired. That's why you have to rest. Why you're resting is so that the body can now go back and start making some more ATP. Now, what can you do now that your body can just keep producing ATP all the time? One of the reasons the ATP is not being produced is because fat is not arriving in the cells, or glucose is not arriving in the cells. You take more glucose, you eat food, you're hungry, but you don't get the energy. Why? Because if it's glucose or fat, it's not arriving in the mitochondria. Or if it's arriving at the mitochondria, your certain vitamins are missing. So it stalls the process. So the conversion stops. So if glucose doesn't arrive in the cells, where does glucose go? It goes and does fat storage. So now, instead of the fat turning into energy, your body's storing fat, and you get hungry again, and you want to eat more. So there's a bit of a vicious circle here. Another thing that can also prevent and shut down your the conversion or the transportation of the glucose or fat or ketones into your cells, into your mitochondria, what stops it is junk foods. So I provide information on junk foods. I provide information on how to eat correctly in terms of a balanced meals, because you have to have a 80% alkaline diet, 20% acid diet. So in other words, it's your proportions of food. Some foods are acid residues. Residue means after your body has digested it, it turns into acid. And other foods are alkaline, so your body digests, it turns into alkaline. 80% of your meal should be alkaline foods and 20% should be acid. When you have this balance, so then that helps with the transportation. If that's not the case, you have junk foods, it shuts down. So which means this process here right at the cell is shut down. It doesn't happen. So the sugar, the glucose and fat stays in your blood and goes somewhere else instead of arriving there and making ATP. So that's your main thing. So diet, 20% acid, 80% alkaline, free of junk foods. I'll give you a list of junk foods that you can look, and then you start eliminating that out of your diet. Now, you need electrolytes, calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. and water, and selenium, zinc, and copper. Those are minerals also that are needed to actually help this process. Now, another thing that could happen as you get older, your cells, this is your cells here, they get smaller, they start shrinking. So that's another problem that actually can happen, which actually can delay the process or actually stop the process of the production of ATP. So what you need to do, that's why you need electrolytes and water, so that the water now can actually go back and actually help the cells go back to their normal size so that the process can happen. Alright, so another thing that happens with junk food as you get older as well, junk food, radiation, all sorts of things can happen as you get older, is that your mitochondria, your energy factories start getting damaged. So in other words, there's less and less energy factories. So the less energy factories, the less ATP is made. So what do you do now? Now that you've got low energy, now what you know is you take uppers, or you take stimulants, you take coffee, or you take medications that try and up the levels to try and force the body to make ATP. But for how long can you do that? That's why you have drugs don't work. So you don't get the energy or the caffeine that actually is supposed to help you boost your mental sharpness, your alertness, and all that which you're trying to do for your energy levels. So all this starts going into a decline as you get older. However, there's a way, that's why I'm here to explain to you what you can do, but at least you understand that this is the process that happens here. So one of the things that actually helps increase the production of ATP is actually infrared. Infrared here is like a radiation which you get from the sun. So when you go out in the sun, you'll get infrared that increases the production of ATP. But before you can increase production of ATP, again, you need to, the nutrients have to arrive through the cells here. However, when you have infrared, the infrared increases the energy factory, increases the production of ATP. The more ATP you have, the more energy you have. Now there's another way of increasing your infrared into your cells. There's a patch called the energy enhancer patch. This patch actually you put on your skin, and what it does, it takes from your skin, you've got infrared radiation, it traps it and it sends it back into your body. So when that infrared now is trapped by those patches and goes back into your body, suddenly there's an increase in production of ATP. So that is very, very helpful, especially if you're a sports person and you need that extra endurance, that extra performance. This is what it does. So that patch helps with this. So people who are getting an older age need more energy. That patch helps a lot in that area as well. So it triggers. So what it does basically, this process is called beta oxidation. It's a process that happens, which is a normal process in the body. So the patch actually it triggers that oxidation. So takes the energy from your cells, because your body heat goes back into the cells and triggers that. So this is a way of doing it. And one of the reasons you need to have more energy, if you need healing, the body needs to have energy for healing as well. So healing cannot happen with low energy. So with improved energy, improved ATP, healing also happens, and as I said, you have endurance and performance. Now another problem you need to have is, the problem that normally has is when you have fat. How do you take fat and release the fat from the body? And let's say the fat is in the stomach, and how do you release it so that the fat arrives there? There's a way of doing this which I explain in a different video. If you learn how to do intermittent fasting helps the body release fat and takes the fat and arrives, and will start now arriving at the cells as long as you provide the nutrients. So I have a video on intermittent fasting which I'll give you a link on. You need to also do detox. Detox is to remove around the cells, you'll have toxins around the cells. You need to detox all that needs to go out. That is done with a substance, a peptide called glutathione, which the liver makes. So I give a video on how to clean the liver. So when the liver is being cleaned, the liver is now able to produce the glutathione to remove all the waste so that it reopens the mitochondria. So in other words, it doesn't shut down anymore. So that shutdown is out. So now the nutrients can come in and you get more ATP producing. So basically you're looking at more production of ATP, remove toxins so the cells open up, they don't shut down. Ketone production. Ketone is a very good form of energy source which the liver makes. So you need to have a clean liver for the fat to come to the liver, turn into ketones. Ketones goes into the brain, because the brain, if it doesn't have glucose, needs ketones for the brain to function. Because the whole idea of increasing production is best to increase it with fat. And fat production, obviously, if you burn fat, you're going to lose weight. But your fat is such a high reserve of energy so that when the fat can arrive at the cells, you'll have a constant supply of ATP, and that will sort out that energy issue problem. So mitochondria, there's a repair that you can do. There's some other patches that you can take. X39 does and repairs. So if you've had damaged mitochondria, if this is damaged, you have X39, which is a patch. It comes and can help to start producing more ATP, more mitochondria. So the more energy factories you have, the more fat comes in, the more energy. So your energy levels now comes back to a young age as you had when you were young. So the whole goal of this thing here, of doing this, is that if you're seeking for longevity, if you're seeking for vitality, wellness, prevention of sickness and illness, and better quality of life, this is the way that you can do that in that way. So I offer a 30-minute free health consultation online. You are welcome to contact me and make a booking, and we can sit down and I will go over these things with you and many other things, other issues you might have that will bring your energy levels back to normal, back to endurance, back to performance, and have a better quality of life. Thank you for listening. I hope I'll hear from you and I'll work with you towards making this possible.